commodity appears at first sight a very trivial thing and easily understood. Its analysis shows that it is, in reality, a very queer thing, abounding in metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties. But what else could this simple shirt be? It's a shirt, and that's the end of it. But wait, is it really though? Is it really just what you ought it to be? Or does it represent something transcendent, something more than just fabric stitched together? For me, just like everyone else, this is Gymshark. But how does being a Gymshark become more relevant than it just being a shirt? Enter commodity fetishism. Commodity fetishism is this idea that as consumers or individuals exchanging goods, we get lost in the mystical act of commodities. We start to believe that they hold some kind of built-in value, something that exists naturally within the thing itself. We assume that whenever we're exchanging commodities, we're exchanging that built-in value, completely overlooking the value-creating substance within a commodity, that being the labor behind it, the human effort that brought it into existence. In doing so, we turn a blind eye to the real process of production, and with it, everything that happens behind the scenes. We fail to realize that exchange isn't just an arbitrary assessment of value, it's a trick. Kind of like how you might have thought I was talking directly into the camera, but if I turned this around, I never was actually doing it. It only looked that way. Exactly like this, for Marx, the appearance of a commodity as its own property is a distortion of reality. To quote Marx, there is a definite social relation between men that assumes in their eyes the fantastic form of relation between things. Or, a commodity is therefore a mysterious thing, simply because in it the social character of men's labor appears to them as an objective character stamped upon the product of that labor. End quote. But what does it matter if a commodity takes on a different form? And why should you care? By pushing away the labor involved in production, we forget the living conditions of those who sew the garments, harvest the cotton, or mix chemicals that produce dyes. We stop asking the real questions. How is this product made? What are the working conditions like? Are the laborers even being paid minimum wage? And in case of companies like Amazon, are they even being given basic things like toilet breaks? And if you ask these questions, you're immediately dismissed for being a Marxist communist, almost as this is an insult. This is the consequence of commodity fetishism. And you are important because you as a consumer have the agency to either relegate or reify this practice of exploitation to the past or into the future. Some might say that's just how it is in capitalism. It becomes important then to inquire, what led us to these beliefs? How did we get here? And more importantly, why do we think this way? Also, how did I get here? In the German ideology, Marx and Engels argued that beliefs and philosophies are socially constructed and that they reflect the conditions from which they emerge. There have been two profound transformations in history that completely shifted the living conditions. One was the passage from hunting to agriculture, the other was the passage from agriculture to industry. In each case, the moral code which had served group welfare in an older mode of life was found maladaptive and was slowly and chaotically transformed under the new regime. The primitive man survived by pursuing beasts and killing them, cutting them up usually on the spot and eating them often in raw and always to the cubic capacity of their stomach. He ate as if he were a dog, not knowing when his next meal would come. Economic provision and security did not yet exist. Greed was a virtue necessary for self-preservation. The agricultural life brought with it its own vices and virtues. The same act of eating like a dog and many more like it that ensured survival came now to be censured and disapproved. And similarly then with the shift from agriculture to industry. You get the point. All these distortions or inversions owe their existence to the exercise of power. It goes back to that famous assertion that ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas. 2. A brave new world. Today, it is consumer capitalism that functions to reify new norms. In this system, a person's identity becomes tied to constant acquisition of material possessions. an endless pursuit of becoming the top 1%. Consciousness itself takes on a new form, shifting away from the Cartesian dictum of I think, therefore I am, to what Dittmar argues is its contemporary equivalent. To have is to be. I have this, therefore I am the top 1%. I have that, therefore I am the top XYZ%. It's almost as though commodities have become an extension of our existence. Not what we do, not what we believe, but what we own becomes our person. Even our social interactions begin to revolve around this logic. He has this, so I must know him. She wears that, therefore she must belong. We start to be consumed by commodities until they begin to define us entirely. And we do this with a complete disregard for the conditions in which those commodities are made, the labor, the exploitation. Today, Adam Smith's notion of the invisible hand literally comes to life. This time, however, it is the labor whose hands are invisible. And all this due to our sole desire to enrich ourselves with a panoply of possessions. Greed, it seems, is still a virtue. And the worst part? Unlike the primitive man who acted out of necessity, we do all of this with the luxury of economic provision and security. So tell me honestly, is this deference to the working class really how it ought to be in today's world? Or would you rather rescue from the crucible a system that attends not only to your pleasures, but to a timeless standard of virtue? Think about it.